courteous you, please give a warm welcome and aloha to Taiana.
Hello everyone, it's so awesome being here today. My name is Taiana Tolleson. I'm a Konawaena alumni, was born and raised right here in Kona, went to Konawaena from kindergarten through 12th grade, and graduated in 2016. I was super blessed to get a full ride soccer scholarship to Vanderbilt University. So Vanderbilt is the 15th best academic school in the nation. It's extremely rigorous and hard in the classroom. I was super grateful to be the first Polynesian to graduate as a student athlete from the school, and I now just have 7 years under my belt of leaving home when I was 18, and just wanting to pour back into you guys a little bit, knowing that I came right here, right from Konawaena myself, and truly if I was able to kind of be a little bit more vulnerable and kind of open up about things, it would have been so awesome to do it at a little bit of an earlier point, but I now just want to share some of the knowledge and some of those experiences and life lessons that I've gained in the past 7 years since leaving, and also from just a little bit of the upbringing that a lot of my own classmates and teachers, even though we're happening in kind of the humble upbringing. And some of the things that I'm going to talk about today aren't necessarily the easiest, and they are kind of harder topics. So at the end of the day, I just want to remind everyone that you're not alone, and I'm super excited to get this started. And so a little bit more of the background on where and what level was played is Vanderbilt is in the SEC, so Southeastern Conference, part of the top five powerhouse conferences in college. While I didn't know what Vanderbilt was, a few of the schools that we played, you guys will be very familiar with. I played University of Alabama, University of Georgia, University of Tennessee, Auburn University, Arkansas, you name it. So a lot bigger and of a stage than the 11 schools that you play on this island. And so just wanted to give back a little bit and share some of the knowledge and a little bit of the story there. And so I have with me a deck of cards. Who can tell me what the lowest or worst card you could have in a deck is? 2. Yes, thank you. Who can tell me what the best card that you can get in the deck is? Yes, thank you. So I'm going to have a few out and hold on to them because I will be using them throughout the day. Cards that you got, they don't necessarily, it doesn't matter if you have a king or a 4 or anything, but something that you wouldn't have noticed when I handed those out is there aren't any 2s, and that's because the 2s are right here. And so 2s was the hand that I was dealt in life. And I'm going to encourage and kind of just share how these 2s became aces. And so the first 2 represents my mom and I. I have a mom who was a teenage mom, and I know that that's also something in this community that's extremely prevalent and is extremely present. A lot of times behind the white sandy beaches and 5-star resorts, people don't realize that there are problems in this community that involve just whether it's the teen pregnancy, the drug use, and no matter what cards that you're dealt, you can turn them into anything that you want. And so I had to grow up with my mom, and it wasn't always easy. I would have a 5-year-old right now, and I could not have a 5-year-old. When I was 5, my mom was 25, and I'm 25 today. And so it's very interesting to think that while I have a great job and 2 degrees, I still wouldn't be ready for a kid. We had some struggles, and it was an upbringing in poverty, and I remember days that we were growing up and figuring out life together, and my mom would cry and try to deny that it was because the last amount of money we had was to go to food to survive. While I saw a lot of kids around me want and get the things that they wanted, and I was always kind of someone that was living on that paycheck to paycheck as well without having control over it. I was able to kind of understand and set a bigger goal, and in 5th grade decide that from middle school through high school, I was going to get a 3.5 and be graduating from Konawaena in the top 10%. And goal setting starts as young as you are or starts today. And when you set those goals, you can truly make them come true and make anything happen. So with that and kind of just the upbringing on the poverty side, knowing that that's extremely prevalent in this community, what I did was take this too, and who has the ace of diamonds? Sweet. So I'll take the ace. Thank you. And so with that, I was, like I said, able to reflect and understand that instead of trying to make things harder, instead of having an attitude that was negative, that if I could show up every day in the classroom and in the soccer community, that I could make a completely different life for myself and my own children too. And so I set huge goals and was able to accomplish them by showing up every day and making the decision to put my best foot forward. So today, that too has gone from an ace, and I now am not reliant on my parents. I have 2 college degrees. I have a bachelor's degree and a master's degree, and I work for a company called Granger, which is a Fortune 100 company. For those of you that don't know what Fortune 100 is, one of the top 100 companies in all of America. I now today took being that child who grew up as a single child until my siblings came along when I was 9, set that life up for myself and my kids and our future, knowing that even with that 2 being placed in my hand, I was able to spin it and play that ace and create an ace for myself and for the rest of my life. That ace is never going to go anywhere. But it started with the decisions and the actions that I took as I was sitting right here in these bleachers. This is just encouraging to know that no matter what your background is, you can truly take what you have and what you're given and make the decision and choices every day to change them and to make sure that you are where you want to get in life. But you have to put the work in. You have to work hard. You have to want it. And you have to set those goals and go and get them. And so I am so grateful for those hardships because today I wouldn't be as driven. And if you can find that drive, don't ever let it go because it's worth it. I now get paid a ton, and I don't have to rely on my parents, and I don't have to think about I never have to write a paper a day in my life again. I never have to take a test again in my life. But all of the work, all of those tests, all of those papers, all of those decisions to show up and do my best is the only reason I'm able to stand here today and encourage it on the next person. So that brings me to the next 2, which represents my dad. After I was 3, my dad was extremely in and out of my life because of drug problems. I sadly remember a lot of the negatives as a child and a lot of the negatives growing up, and you can't, until you reach a certain age, channel that negative into positives. But I do remember him not being on the sidelines, and him not being in the classrooms, and him not being at the conferences, and him not being in these bleachers while I was on this court playing. I know that, sadly, I wasn't the only one going through that, but I didn't know how to look to my left or right and find the ability to open up to the next person and cope with it differently than just shutting down. And shutting down isn't the answer. Finding help, talk to teammates, talking to your friends, just knowing that you're not alone and other people out there want to hear it too and want to be able to talk to you about it. Go to your teachers, go to the staff around here. Allowing yourself to be vulnerable for other people to know what you're going through is the only reason that they're going to know how to help you. I wish that instead of truly hiding in closets so that my dad could get high and come to school with a smile on my face on Monday, that I was able to talk to people a lot sooner and was able to just have the courage to be a little bit more vulnerable and get through them in a much stronger, different way and not alone. And any card that you're dealt, it's not necessarily anything that you can control. You can't control what house you're born into. You can't control who your parents are. But you can control the decisions and choices that you make every day based on what you're given. Who has now the Ace of Hearts? Thank you. So this now is an Ace of Hearts in my hand instead of that 2 of Spades because I have never done a hard drug in my life. I have a personal commitment to never pick up a hard drug and do them, and it's gotten me to stand here today and to be able to be creating a healthy relationship with my father today. But I wouldn't have ever been able to get there had I not made the decision for myself to never want to go down that path. And you have to make the decision to say no. And trust me, when you make that decision to say no, your life will pan out, and those goals will be accomplished a lot sooner and a lot greater if you're able to put your best foot forward and just decide to not do it. And this now brings me to my third two. So this next two represents just family as a whole. Truly, my stepdad is the most genuine and kind person you'll ever meet in your life. But in 6th grade, he had a grand mal seizure, and I found him. It changed our lives forever. He went from someone who provided financially for our family, someone who could drive, to never being able to drive again, someone who could dive, fish, provide food for the family, to now being able to only throw nets so that we could watch him and make sure he doesn't have a seizure. I remember just having to grow up a lot faster than I wanted to at that time, and took responsibility that I didn't necessarily feel I was ready for. I have 3 siblings that are 10 years and 13 years younger than me, and I feel like it went from me being a child to me wanting to help raise them, and it truly just was growing up way faster than I think any kid is prepared for. But with that too, and with those setbacks, and with us having to deal with battles like not being approved for Social Security for 5 years, we couldn't afford a lawyer. My mom represented him the whole way and fought those battles, and the day we won, I'll never forget. He now is a part of the Queen's Neuroscience Institute since 2011, and that toll that it took on our family, at first, I saw as this curse almost. And I'm going to tell you how that curse became one of the biggest blessings of my life. Who has the Ace of Spades? So, like I said, what I thought was a curse in my life was actually the biggest blessing, because I was able to become a leader and to see that those responsibilities, knowing all of you guys have siblings, whether you don't or not, this community is so prevalent with 1 million cousins in a family. Whether you have 2 cousins or 10, you know what that responsibility feels like, to feel like you want to have to take that on your shoulders. And by releasing that pressure for myself, I realized that I wasn't alone in it either. And I wasn't alone in that entire aspect, and it truly made me a leader. But you have to decide where and what you see and have a different perspective and outlook on that. So by changing my perspective and outlook and changing my mindset to see that it was a blessing to become a leader, and to be a leader in any team or organization I was a part of, and to be maybe a little bit ahead of the kids as I got older because of those leader aspects that I was able to be given as a child. This same exact way of no matter what hardship, no matter what burden is put into your life, and no matter what obstacle is going to come up, if you're able to change your mindset and change the outlook that you have on it, you're going to change the way that you see that situation. And you can make it go from negative to positive, no matter what it is that you're facing and dealing with. So, bringing me to my 4th and final two is, this is going to represent some sports and soccer in my life. It was my entire coping mechanism. I grew up playing soccer right here since I was 4. Played my entire life, had the dream of being the first goalie to make it to Division 1. When it felt like it was finally in my hand, I actually didn't have it at all. As a junior, I had no offers from any Division 1 schools. 0. I was like, well, I think I'm going to have to maybe start accepting that this maybe isn't going to happen. But I was super grateful to have played in a tournament in Vegas, have Vanderbilt be seeing me there, and from there, I went on a visit. I went to go see the school. My mom and I went on a visit, and by the end of it, I was like, this is where I'm going. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. It's done. Signed, sealed, delivered. I'm ready to commit tomorrow. So, in that final meeting with my coach, he said, do you know what your ACT and SAT scores are? I was like, not good. He said, yeah, this is something that you're not going to be able to get into a school with. So I was heartbroken, obviously, and had to make a decision for myself in that moment to say, okay, and just shut that door, or to ask him how much time I had. Ask him what scores I needed. Ask the right questions to find a way through that wall and a way around that wall. And so he gave me 4 months. He said, this is where they need to be. You have this amount of time. Let's circle back when you have your scores back, and we'll re-evaluate. So instead of, like I said, leaving that day feeling discouraged, which I was, I knew I could do something about it. So I got back here, got with a teacher on campus who went to a school in the mainland, and she encouraged me the whole way and was like, you're going to get these books, we're going to do it, and I wouldn't have found that without asking for the help in the first place. Instead of being told no, I decided, and for those 4 months, would go from school to practice or classroom, practice tests on the weekend. It was what felt like 4 years and 4 months. But I'll never forget being able to get my ACTs up, 11 points, and SAT score up almost 1,000. I called that coach back and said, this is what I was able to do. And he said, what are you waiting for? Commit to Vanderbilt. And I was extremely blown away, and it was still, till this day, one of the best days of my life. I was able to just see that if he didn't tell me no, or if he didn't give me that ability to let me ask the questions to find out how I could run through that wall, I would have never done it. And so, who has the Ace of Clubs? Thank you. I was like, what have I said already? Appreciate that. So, this ace now, fast forward 7 years, not only did I go to Vanderbilt, but we won 2 SEC championships. I have 2 degrees from Vanderbilt, a master's and a bachelor's, and I was a 2-time SEC champion, and I'm now able to fulfill the dreams that I had in 2016 when I first left, to just pour into the next generation. Like I had said earlier, have a dream job, and am actually, after 9 months of stepping back into soccer, I'm going to be a professional soccer player in 2024. And I have done it. So that too, that I was presented with, which was no, you're not going to get into the school, and finding a way to run through that wall is the only way that I'm able to be standing here today having all of those goals accomplished. And anything that you guys face, any walls that are going to be presented, any closed doors, they're not going to be closed forever. But it's your decisions and your choices and what you do with that information and what you decide to show up and do every day. It starts here. And it starts right here in this community and in these classrooms, and making the decision to show up. Show up so that you can, too, have all of the things that you have in life and want in life and the goals that you have in life fulfilled. And don't ever let anyone tell you that you can't do something. And at the end of the day, as long as you believe in yourself, it does not matter who else believes in you. And so just wanting to encourage you guys to just always, always, always stay true to yourselves and never let anyone else tell you that you can't do something. And so that was just a little bit of the story, and just wanting to make sure that you understand with what those cards did, is it doesn't matter what cards you're dealt in life, you can play a hand of your choosing, and you can take those cards, make them into a different hand that is successful, that is truly just something that you might feel you'll never be able to get through. That's not the answer. You can turn these 2s into aces as well. You can turn the 4s and 5s into aces. You can turn the 6s and 7s into aces. It just takes you making that decision and choice every day to do your best and put your best foot forward and work extremely hard. Last thing, to kind of just wrap it all up and tying into kind of everything, it's truly just your choices, right? It's your choices to just show up. Your choices for being here today, all of you guys are absolute winners. You're already putting yourselves in different boats than a lot of kids who are just deciding to not give a crap. You're so much better than that already by just being right here in this gym, by showing up to school every day. And you need to also give yourself more credit for that too. You're winners for being here. Absolutely. But the choices that you make behind your decisions. If you're deciding to be an athlete, you have to also make a choice every day to put your best foot forward and to be a leader for the younger players and to be someone who's working harder than the next person in California because it's harder to make it out of here. If you're gonna make a decision that you want to be a 3.5 student, then you have to make a choice to show up every day and to put the phone down in the classroom and to want to learn something and to choose to show up and to choose to do it to your best of your ability. And so everything in life is dictated based on your choices. And I'm so blessed to have been able to make choices that got me to this point that I am today with the 2 degrees, a great job, fulfilling my biggest dream in life of being a professional athlete. But it came with the choices to show up here, to show up in this gym for something that you guys had no idea about, to show up in the classroom and do your best, do your homework, do your assignments, and it will pay off. Trust me, the hard work pays off more than you know, and I know that from someone that you're maybe seeing on a TikTok saying hard work pays off, and like, man, this is what you can do. No, I'm right here, right from Konawaena, kindergarten through 12th grade, and was someone with a humble background, able to now have an incredible success story, and you can too. And I just encourage all of you guys to know how amazing it is that you're showing up today, and how amazing you guys truly are, and just keep making decisions, and if you need to try to change some of the choices that you're making, go take that greatness and make it amazing. Become someone that can also fulfill any dream and goal that they want in life, because you guys can. I believe in you, your family believes in you, the people to your left and right believe in you. Encourage each other, pick each other up instead of putting people down. It's the best thing that I realized after leaving high school was I am going to be remembered. And how do you want to be in the best way? And how do you want to be remembered? Not as someone who was the kid vaping in the bathroom or talking down on every single person, and lift others up. Don't be a bully. Be the one that gets someone through their day. Go and ask someone who you've never talked to how they're doing. Like, it makes such a difference in someone's life, more than you guys know. And I just encourage you to just encourage others only, lift them up, and to just be the best teammates, the best classmates, the best people that you can be. And again, I can't thank you guys enough for your time today, and we'll be opening it up for a few questions, I believe.